Okay, good evening, everybody. We're starting the Shir Maseches Shabbos Daf Mem Daled Amud Aleph. Mem Daled Amud Aleph is where we are after the Shabbos break. We are in Perek Kira learning about Muktzeh. Yeah. So Bezos Hashem, a lot of concepts today, a lot of different ideas really over here. I made a chart which I sent you today. There are basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think there are like 7 different variations here. You have the chart, very good. Hopefully, as the sugya, thank you, as the sugya evolves, yeah, we're going to Bezos Hashem understand each and every one. Okay, so basically the topic of the shir is ner and the shemen. Yeah, the muktzeh when relating to a candle and the shemen. We all know that a candle is a candle. Those days we're not talking about the candles we have today. Obviously, we've seen it already in the Madlikin. The candle is actually not very big. We're going to see it's a smallish kind of lantern. Yeah, it's like a receptacle, like a kli kibul that has oil inside. There's a wick on top and the side. Yeah, the wick sucks up the oil, and then there is a flame that's created, and that is the flame. That is a nail. So there are questions regarding: are you allowed to move the nail, the candle, while it's lit? Are you allowed to move it before it was ever lit? Are you allowed to move it after it was extinguished on Shabbos, after it like went out? What about the oil? Are you allowed to use the oil from the actual candle? Are you allowed to use the oil that's dripping off the candle, v'chule? And before we continue, there are basically 2 types of candles. One candle is made out of cheres, like a clay kind of thing. And these candles, once you use it once, it absorbs the oil. Once you use it once, the oil gets absorbed, and then it already smells not so nice, and you won't use it for anything else except for lighting. And that's called maybe Muktzeh Machmas Mius. It's like a disgusting kind of thing. You can only reuse it for oil, like, use the example, you can only use toilet just for toilet, but you're not going to use the candle for anything else. Because you have to understand, back then, the Rishonim say people would use candles for other things as well. If you have a nice clean candle, you can use it to store stuff inside, like you'd use a jar, from a jam. You can empty it and use it for your screws, right? But the candle, if it's made out of cheres, it's like a disgusting thing once you use it even once. The candle made out of metal is nicer. You can wash it nicely. Metal doesn't absorb, right? Not as much. You can clean it and use it for, I don't know, drinking your Coke, whatever. So now, with that in mind, let's start before the Mishnah. Before the Mishnah, we have a quote from the end of the last Mishnah. So we spoke about oil that is in the oil that's in the candle. If you're talking about oil that's in the candle that's lighting, for sure you're not allowed to use that. That's not a question of muktzeh. That's a question of kibui. You're not allowed to take any oil from the actual candle while it's burning. It's not muktzeh, it's kibui. We may see it as indirect, but when you take some of the power of the fuel of the flame that's still burning, right? Then it's considered as kibui that we've dealt with before already. So what are we talking about? She'enu mina muchan. What does it mean? You can't neoitin, you can't benefit from it, can't take from it, because enu mina muchan means it's muktzeh. What does it mean? Tono bonon. It means moisar shemen shebanevel shebekeora also. What does it mean? As we said last week, you have underneath the candle, you have like a bottom kli, right? The moisar shemen in the nail that's left over, yeah, in the nail itself, or in the ke'ora, after the oil, after it's been put out, right? Then you're not allowed to use it. You're not allowed to use it according to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is always more machmir in muktzeh. Rabbi Yehuda says anything that's left over, yeah, the moisar shemen, it's muktzeh because it's muktzeh l'mitzvah. That's the bottom one. It's muktzeh because it's meant for mitzvah. That's what Tosha says in the Mishnah. And muktzeh l'mitzvah is a muktzeh l'isur. Because that oil originally, when Shabbos came in, the most detrimental moment is when Shabbos comes in. What was that shemen meant to be? For lighting. I went out. Now the oil is left over. I don't care. At the end of the day, it was meant for lighting, right? It didn't serve its purpose, says Rabbi Yehuda. That's called muktzeh. I was maktzeh in my mind as Shabbos came in that this should be for lighting, and lighting is isu or a mitzvah. Some Rishonim say isu, to says is mitzvah, and therefore isur. It's meant for lighting. Lighting by nature is something that's also, I can't use it while it's light, right? While it's lighting. So it's forever, that kind of light, because that kind of oil, even after it's put out, is also because it's meant for muktzeh. That's the idea of, by the way, I was very happy. I want to go back to something you saw yesterday and I saw yesterday. I gave an example about Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda holds of muktzeh and Rabbi Shimon doesn't. The Gemara gave an example of honeycomb. There are two honeycombs that are there the entire winter, and the person is muktzeh from his mind. He says that should be food for the bees. It's good for people. People can eat the honeycomb. Let's say, I don't know, yeah, somehow. Says Reb Shimon, it's not muktzeh. Why? I can eat it. I set it aside in my mind for the bees. So what? Reb Shimon doesn't care. Well, Reb Yehuda says no. If you set it in your mind for a different purpose, that's muktzeh. We see it again. That oil, why not using the oil? Says Rabbi, because originally when Shabbos came in, your idea was for lighting, for Shabbos candles. That's it. Now it's set aside and you can't use it anymore. The entire Shabbos, even the leftover. But Rabbi Shimon Mati, Rabbi Shimon says it's okay. Rabbi Shimon says, I don't care that you designated it for lighting. At the end of the day, let's say 2 hours later, the lights, sometimes happen, many times it happens to us, yeah? Not all the oil gets burnt, I'm not sure why. Yes, some candles are luckier than others. You have a bit of oil that's left over. That bit of oil that's left over is, according to Shimon, lucky oil. I don't care that I set it aside originally. No, it's okay. There's no setting aside in my mind, generally by Reb Shimon. So we see the same concept again. Says the Mishnah, now the Mishnah says, "Etalteli ner chodosh, avaloi yoshon." This is actually Rabbi Yehuda talking, and Rabbi Yehuda says that a new candle that was never ever used, you're allowed to use it. Why are you allowed to use it? Even though a candle is klish melachto leisu, it's meant for lighting, so it's not as it's not better than a pen or a pencil. You're still allowed to use it like a pen and a pencil. You're also allowed to use how? Letzorch gufoy mekoymoy. Klish melachto leisu is a kli. It is a kli, right? Chacham made a gzera called gzeras kelim. We'll see much later in the perek. That's a later gzera of muktzeh. Yeah. It's not a muktzeh like stones and sticks, like muktzeh machmas gufoy. It's a kli, but it's a kli that's meant for iser, but it's a usable kli. If I need the pencil to mix my, I don't know, my tea, not nice. Yeah, I know. I could do that if I don't have any spoons, because it's so gufoy. If I need the space, I'm allowed to move the pencil. Same thing with the ner chodosh. A new candle, right? Or maybe it's a candle. The lechatchila can be used. That other Rishonim say it can be used for other things as well. It's a candle, but maybe I want to use it to put in some gem. Okay, so you're allowed to carry it. You're allowed to be metaltalit because either completely mutar or it is just klish melachto, but it's not complete muktzeh. When we say muktzeh, it's very disturbing because it's very confusing because Jewish children grow up. What's muktzeh? Ask your children, little children, pen, pencil. It's not a classical muktzeh. These are klish melachto. Real muktzeh are stones and sticks. The mamish not usable b'chalal. A ner chodosh, a new candle that's never been lit, and therefore it's not disgusting. It's not repulsive, and it's nice and new, and it's a kli. I can do many things with it. That's not called muktzeh. At worst, it's klish melachto leisu. And if the ner is lechatchila in my mind for both lighting and for storing my little, I don't know what, telim, sifra telim, even better, I can carry it as much as I want. So what's the chiddush? Avalo yoshon. Oh, here comes Rabbi Yehuda even, not even, for sure Rabbi Yehuda, sorry. Rabbi Yehuda says, Avalo yoshon. A ner that's yoshon, what's a yoshon? Doesn't mean 100 years ago. Once it's been lit once, and it's made out of cheres, your wife will not allow you to get near the thing. Yeah, it's already considered as something machmas mius. Muktzeh machmas mius means you can't use it for anything else except for lighting. Thank you. Lighting is a muktzeh purpose, right? And therefore, that's muktzeh machmas mius, according to this opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, is called muktzeh, and you can't move it bichlal, not even gufo mekoymer. It's like a stone and a stick. That's a chiddush. I'm not saying that's la halacha bichlal, but that's what Rabbi Yehuda says. Muktzeh machmas mius. It's disgusting. You can't use it. Okay. That's number one. You can follow the chart or you don't, but so far it's so good. Rabbi Shimon Oimer, kol haneros metaltelin, chutz min haner dolik b'Shabbos. Rabbi Shimon says all candles can be carried on Shabbos. Oh, so when I filled up my chart and I looked also in the Mefarshim, what all candles can be carried, it means even the candle that's muktzeh machmas mius. That's what some Rishonim say. And of course, the new candle. Rabbi Shimon is always more mekel than Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah. So for sure, the new candle that's never been used, nice and fresh and shiny, avada you can, even from cheres, never used. The only candle, and now the bigger chiddush is we're going to see kol haneros metaltel, and we'll see in the Gemara is the third category, and that is the candle that was lit on Shabbos, right? And now it went out of oil. It stopped working because Leil Shabbos finished after an hour or two, the oil's out. Yeah, it's been used now. Says Rabbi Shimon, you're still allowed to use that candle. That's called here Ner Shadola Kashabbos V'Kova Muktzeh Machmas Isur. Rabbi Shimon says it's allowed. Yeah, it was a light on Shabbos, and then it went out naturally or unnaturally. Yeah, it stopped. Now you're allowed to use it because although when Shabbos came in, your mind was this should be the candle. Once the candle is out, you're allowed to use it again. And we don't care about your mind on Erev Shabbos. We'll explain in the Gemara why. Oh, the only candle that's a problem according to Rabbi Shimon is a candle while it is doilik on Shabbos. Says Rashi, it's not because of Muktzeh. You can't move the candle while it's what? Mamish, a light with a flame. As you move it, you may extinguish by mistake. You may go out. You may put it out by mistake. And that's why you're not allowed to move it on Shabbos. Lamaskona will be another reason, but that's what we think now. That's what Rashi says now. Rashi Shema Yichve. Also Shema Yichve says later on the Gemara. Yeah. So now we'll see everything in the Gemara. So now it's a Muktzeh Machmas Mius is a Machloikes. A new candle is allowed according to anybody, and a candle that was put out is a Machloikes too. Everything will actually be explained in the Gemara Be'ezras Hashem, nice and slow. Says the Gemara, Tono Bonan. Exactly as the Mishnah said in the Reisha. I told you, Reisha is Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah, you're allowed to carry the new candle because it's not Muktzeh at all. It's a new candle. You can do whatever you want until you put your new nicely socks inside there, whatever, yeah? And therefore, that's okay. An old one, says Rabbi Yehuda, is Muktzeh Machmas Mius, don't use it, Mius, don't. Okay. Rabbi Meir Omer, Kol Aneros Metaltelin. Now, Rabbi Meir is the third opinion. It's not Rabbi Yehuda, not Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Meir. Yeah, here is the second column, Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir Omer, Kol Aneros Metaltelin, Chutz Min Aner Shedliku Boy Be Shabbos. You're allowed to carry all candles. He's possibly arguing on Machmas Mius. He probably allows, right? Let's say Machmas Mius he allows, as we'll see later. The one that he does not allow, Rabbi Meir, is what? Ner Shedliku Boy Be Shabbos. And there was a light on Shabbos, because as Shabbos came in, then that candle was, meant to be a candle, meaning to be with a flame inside. You're not allowed to be metaltalit even after it's out. Why? Because Rabbi Meir and surely Rabbi Yehuda surely agrees to that. They, as the Gemara will say later, if you don't believe me, the Gemara will say mefurish later. To me, it was clearly right from the beginning. The Gemara will explicitly say it, I promise, you'll see. They surely believe in what? Remember Dafim Gila Modalef? I don't know if you saw it together. What you set your mind on air Benesh Moshes, that's a life sentence of one Shabbos. So if that candle was meant to be on, even for part of the Shabbos, you had in mind this candle will be alight the whole Shabbos, right? Now you have that candle after it's out already, it still carries the same status even after it's off. Now it's off, I don't care. When Shabbos came in, it was on. You take a photo the way it is as Shabbos comes in, that's a life sentence. Wet towel. A wet towel is Machlokes Mishnah Berurah and Rav Wosner actually, but the common opinion of the Mishnah Berurah says if you have a wet towel, really wet, that you can't, almost touching it would be squeezing it. And that's the way it is in the mikveh in the shower. As Shabbos comes in, even in Israeli hot summer, what happens? Then at some point it gets dry. You can't use it. If in Benesh Moshes it was wet, it's considered as wet the whole Shabbos. Rav Wosner says otherwise. I'm not going there, but that's a concept, and that's Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Shimon Oimer, Chutz Min Haner Hadoilek B'Shabbos. Rabbi Shimon says, no, the only candle I don't use, as we said before, only the candle while it's a light on Shabbos, while it's on fire and with a flame on Shabbos. Because when you move it, then you may come to, it's unstable, it's going to come and actually be extinguished by mistake. But kovsa mutar letaltelo. Once the candle is out, you're allowed to be metaltelit, and the Gemara will explain why. Yeah? Kovsa mutar letaltelo. I don't know if Rashi already says over here. No, he doesn't. Kovsa mutar letaltelo. Yeah? So either, I'll tell you now already, either Reb Shimon doesn't believe in Migudis Katzoi, or Reb Shimon says, listen, I knew that candle wasn't meant to be a light the whole Shabbos, right? That candle was meant to be a light for 2 or 3 hours and then be out. That was part of the plan. And therefore, since I knew in advance that that candle will be off, and out after 3 hours, Mimele, after 3 hours, it's back to not being Muktzeh. The truth is, it's really Cholakim Yigodis Katzoi. In other words, the candle is not meant to be the whole Shabbos, right? It's meant to be on for 3 hours. For 3 hours, it's Muktzeh. But after those 3 hours, it's back to normal. That's Reb Shimon's idea. Again, not believing in Muktzeh all the way, as we'll see later. Now, aval kois v'ke'or v'ashoshis lo yazizam im koimon. But kois is a cup bigger than a candle. You have to notice that. Ke'oro is a bowl full of oil. Ashoshis is even bigger. Lo yazizam im koimon. If you have a big kind of candle, much larger kind of lighting receptacle candle, even after they go out, you're not supposed to move them from the place. In other words, according to Reb Shimon, size matters, and we're going to see why later. Now, Reb Loza Reb Shimon, a fourth opinion. Now, Reb Loza Reb Shimon is not really talking about the candle, he's talking more about the oil, right? Up until now, we spoke about the candles, he's going to talk about the oil. Reb Loza Reb Shimon Oimer, Mistapek min haner hakover. Haner hakover means, Reb Loza Reb Shimon says a tremendous chiddush. Either ner hakover means, he's now talking about the oil. Mistapek means to actually take your pita, your lafa, your pita, your challah, vishnitz, yeah, and dip it in the ner hakover without your wife looking, yeah, with a ner hakover. Either the candle is out and you have leftover oil in the ner, or some Rishonim say even more, the ner, while it's on its way out, it's flickering and it's still on, you're allowed to chop a little bit and take. And it's not called kibui because it's already so much on its way out. I'm not sure what point he believes that so much on its way out. When it's dying, it's not called, it doesn't make a difference. It's like, that's the stage when it's about to die. Yeah. So then you're allowed to chop around and take some oil because it's already on its way out and it's not called you're doing kibui. And there's no issue of muktzeh, according to him. Oh, what does that mean? Shemen metaftef, even when there is doilek, that is what we saw in the Mishnah before. While the shemen is metaftef, when the shemen drips, while the candles are on, right? The candles are lighting, are on, yeah. And now what do you have? You have some oil dripping down to the bottom kli. You're allowed to take from that oil, even with the ner is doilek, you're allowed to take from the oil and have some of the oil even while the top one is on, which actually, according to Reb Shimon, was not allowed. And this is something the Tosfos said in the Mishnah. I want to read to you. You can read along with me. In the Mishnah in Beis Amud Beis, in Tosfos, ve'en oisin mimenu lefi she'enu min hamuchan, says Tosfos, it's the fourth Tosfos in the wide lines. Ikal ukum Reb Shimon dematir moiser shemen shebaner, ve'en oisin diktani achanu kol zman shedoilek. The b'muktzeh machmas mitzvah moider Reb Shimon, which means, says Tosfos, as much as Reb Shimon is a mekel, Reb Shimon says that as long as the candle is on, it is muktzeh, right? We said only because it's moving and it may come to be put out. The Maskana, the Gemara will say there are other reasons. We'll see later. And here Tosfos says you're not allowed to take from the oil, even if the oil dripped down under to the bottom of the thing, and it's not on the candle, it's not in the candle. You're not allowed to take from there because while it's burning, I don't know why, both oils, elyonim and tachtoinim, both oil, the one inside the candle and one underneath, are still called muktzeh mitzvah while it's still burning, while the candle is burning, and therefore even the bottom one, according to Reb Shimon, is not allowed to be used. Only after will be put out, naturally, of course, then you'll be allowed to use it. Very interesting. I don't know why. Kilu, some kind of earboof, ain't brera, I don't know. The top and the bottom, they're both considered to be muktzeh mitzvah, even the part that's underneath, and nobody's going to put it back to the candle, right? He still views the whole story, the whole maisa, as still set aside for mitzvah, and that muktzeh mitzvah it's interesting, yeah. And therefore says Reb Shimon that's not allowed. Oh, here comes his son. Reb Shimon says that I do allow. The oil that's under that fell under the burning candle that's dripping underneath, it's not inside the candle, so it's not muktzeh. That's it. There was a brera already. Yesh brera and brera, yesh brera. Yet it's misbarer to be the oil that's not part of the candle or the mitzvah. You're allowed to chop and partake. That's what the Rabbi Shimon says. He's not talking about the candles. He's only talking about the oils. Omar Abai. Abai is now commenting on Rabbi Lozer Rabbi Shimon. It says, Rabbi Lozer Rabbi Shimon, bechada. He thinks like his father in one thing. Rabbi Shimon is his father, obviously. Oh, soon, no, Miron, like Bomer. Upali galei bechada. Rabbi Lozer Rabbi Shimon argues with his father in one point. Bechada. He believes his father in one point. Delays Muktzeh. He believes Muktzeh doesn't apply, meaning he doesn't believe Muktzeh to the same extent as Rabbi Yehuda. Because Rabbi Yehuda wouldn't have dreamt Bechlal. Rabbi Yehuda says even after it's out, you're not allowed to use the oil. This entire oil is treif the whole Shabbos. So that far, of course, Rabbi Shimon and his son are together. They believe in the same thing. But Rabbi Shimon's son argues and is more extreme. Lekula is like his father, but more extremely makel, more extreme like a left wing. The ilu avu asava kova in loy kova loy. His father says only once the candle is completely out, then you're allowed to take some of the oil. As long as it's not out, even when it's way out, don't touch it. And the candle underneath, the oil underneath, don't touch it. As long as the candle is on, kozma shener doilek. Sosananta said, "Efshal letakin." Rab Shimon says, "Kozma shener doilek al tiga." That's Rab Shimon. As long as the candle is on, while the fire is on, it's muktzeh. Yeah. And he says, Rabbi his son says, Afalgav deloy kovo. Rabbi says, no, even with the fire still on. In other words, very nice. It's really the same. One logic makes Rabbi says say two things. The top part, you're allowed to bet some take from the oil of the candle. If it's a problem of kibui, you can't be over nisa doaisa of kibui. But once the candle is on its way out, and kibui is not a problem, then muktzeh never was a problem according to him. He doesn't believe b'chlal in muktzeh of the candle, of the oil. B'chlal nisht. More extreme than his father. What about the oil that's dripping underneath? Of course it's not a problem. Because it's not burning, it's not on top. If there's no problem of burning or extinguishing, b'vakasha, do whatever you want. He doesn't believe in muktzeh b'chlal when it comes to oil. You set it aside for what? For mitzvah? For Rabbi Rabbi Shimon doesn't care. Rabbi Shimon believes in muktzeh as long as the candle is on. And once the candle is out, who are machmir? Only Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. They say even after the candle is out, it's a life sentence for the whole Shabbos. It's not so hard. No, we're managing. Baruch Hashem. Now let's quote another piece of the Braisa. Aval kois v'ke'ora v'ashoshis. What about the big kois ke'ora v'ashoshis, the big kelim? The kois ke'ora v'ashoshis, lo yizizem min koimom. You're not allowed to move them from their place. L'choira, this is spoken even according to Rab Shimon. And the question is, Ma'ishna Hani, why are they different? Hani, those. Ma'ishna Hani, why are these different? Why? What do you care about kois ke'ora v'ashoshis? Why aren't you allowed to touch them and move them to move them, not touch them? You're allowed to touch muktzeh, you can't move muktzeh. Why aren't you allowed to move muktzeh of those types? Well, the other can't, we're talking after the out, yeah? After it's been extinguished. Why aren't you allowed to move them? You know what? Enochinami must be that safe of the aval, the but, the reservation is according to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, of course. Rabbi Yehuda, I told you, you see? Here we see clear like I told you before. That according to Rabbi Yehuda, once the candle is out, still also. Rabbi Yehuda says the whole Shabbos is the same status. Okay, so Rabbi Yehuda, he's the one who doesn't allow you the big candles, the big size one. Maskif Marzutra is attacking this interpretation. My aval. If so, what does the word aval mean? Why but? It's not but. That's Rabbi Yehuda's logic all along. Since we were born, we always know. Rabbi Yehuda, of course. Yasser Muktzeh. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't allow muktzeh of all size and shapes, and all shapes and sizes and types. So that's not but. He wouldn't allow even a candle either after it's out, because he says the whole thing is muktzeh right from the beginning till the end. Here comes big news. Here comes big news. And this is, the Rab Shimon over here. Mutar achloi beke'or. He allows it, but not in a bowl. Why? Elam Mazutra. Lo elam Rabbi Shimon. It's really Rabbi Shimon that allows you to use the big candles. Why? V'chikashor Rabbi Shimon bener zuta didaite iluye. Says Rabbi Shimon as follows. I'm not such a koifer. I don't believe in muktzeh. I just reinterpret muktzeh. And therefore, a candle is a small vessel, is a small receptacle, as I told you. A candle, my das, when I lit the candles, or my wife lit the candles when Shabbos came in, yeah, my idea was I'm a well-planned guy. I knew that that candle will be automatically, naturally, I don't know, run out, go out, and die after 1, 2, 3 hours. And then I'll use it for something else. I'll use it as a doorstop. I'll use it for something else. I'll use it for my cat to drink from. Not it's actually not mechubed to do that for Shabbos. Lo mishane, it's muktzeh masmius. It's even cheres, yes. But he says I don't believe muktzeh masmius. He doesn't, right? Plus, I don't care because I know I planned lechatchila that at some point it will change its hat, its tafkid from a candle. The oil will run out, and now I'll have a new kli. That was my plan. That's why I don't view it as muktzeh. Aval hani de nefishi loi. Those that are nefishis, those that are big, they were meant to burn the whole Shabbos, and they surprisingly went out. That's a story. You ever been to Sephardi shul, right? Yeah, they have huge candles, right, for 7 days, right, at least. Gibraltar there for like a month. I'm serious. Yeah, they put like your oil there for Chves Nish Beis Hamikdash. Yeah, and what? So let's say you have such a kois, keora, shoshis, each one its own size. It's meant to be on the whole Shabbos. In the middle of Shabbos, all of a sudden the wind blew it, or the air conditioner, you're 3 years old or something. That's unexpected. Then of course I agree, says Reb Shimon, that it's muktzeh because it was meant to be on the whole Shabbos. Now it's all of a sudden off. It changed its head unexpectedly. So that's not part of my Erev Shabbos plans or Ben Moshes. And maybe, of course, it remains muktzeh, the candle, not just the oil. Yeah, candles, muktzeh, because that was meant to be a candle the whole time. Or maybe it went out too quickly. I don't know. It consumed it very quickly. I don't know what happened. Whatever happened, it happened earlier than expected. And therefore, that's not what I expected. Mimail, of course, that's muktzeh. Because I do care about the guy's plans on Erev Shabbos, says Ram Shimon, not like you thought. It's not like he's a koifer gomer in muktzeh. He's saying, I view muktzeh differently. If you expected 3 hours of burning and afterwards garnished, once it's garnished, it's Beseder. I planned plan B. Mashenkin, if the thing was meant to be there the whole Shabbos, or maybe much later, whatever, could be in theory a candle that went out too early would be the same, efsha. But okay, that's not so common, I assume. Yeah, that's the idea. Okay, but now we understand better. You can see Rashi says all that. Yeah. Says he did not imagine that those things are going to go out the entire day. They're meant to be on the whole day. They all of a sudden went out. I had no idea. Man, that's muktzeh. Yeah. That's against the Erev Shabbos plan. Now, frag the Gemara v'Atanya, we see a brisa that says otherwise. It says in the brisa, Moisa Hashemin shebaner v'shebakeoro os. Brisa says the leftover oil in the ner and the keoro. Remember, ner is a small one, keoro is the bigger one. The all osir. Okay, that sounds like Rabbi Yehuda, right? That's very good with Rabbi Yehuda. Probably his friend Rabbi Meir. Of course, they say small, big. We don't care. Once Benish Moshe, your wife lit it, Benish Moshe sits on, life sentence. I don't care about your plans and your shmens. Yeah, what the status it is of Shabbos determines the status for the whole Shabbos. Okay. The problem is Rabbi Shimon matir. Oh, look at that. Rabbi Shimon allows. The problem is one of the items mentioned there is what? Ke'oro. Says Rashi, that's a steer between Ke'oro and Ke'oro. Forget about Kois Shoshis. It's very clear. In one bryce it says that Ke'oro, he does not allow you to use the oil or the candle of the Ke'oro, yeah, once it's out. And here it says he does allow the Ke'oro. What's going on? Yeah. Answers the Gemara very easy. Hosom Ke'oro Dumia Dener. If you notice, here, Ner and Ke'oro are mentioned together. We're speaking here about a small Ke'oro that size, yeah, of a size similar to a Ner. That's why it's okay. It's a small Ke'oro. Small Ke'oro, I know it's going to go out after 2 hours. Of course. Mimela what? I'm going to use it now for whatever I want, to wash my face, whatever I need, yeah? And the ocho kardu the kois. Here kardu the kois. The other brisa, the earlier brisa, keor there was mentioned with kois, and kois is a bigger thing. Kois and keor, the bigger ones, the keor and the kois, the big ones. What about them? They are actually bigger. The bigger one is muktzeh from my mind because I planned that the entire Shabbos is going to be on, and he went out. All of a sudden, surprisingly, he died in the middle, died on me. I didn't expect that, and therefore it's muktzeh. What? Yoter Gorban Olad. Yes, it's against. You mean the Rabbi Shimon doesn't hold of Noilad, you think? You're saying? I guess, I don't know. Because it's against what you expected. Nolad, yeah. No. 1 second. Amab zera. Amab zera. Pamot. Oh, what are pamotot? You know what pamot is in Hebrew? Candlestick, right? Pamot. So pamot basically is a candle made out of. It's also like a bigger candle. It's made out of metal, and therefore it's nicer and cleaner. Rashi says pamoit. Rashi says menoyo shel mateches ve'eina meusa. As we mentioned before, only the clay one absorbs the oil, and after one use, it's for lighting only. Yeah, Mashenka, the one made out of metal, doesn't absorb. You can, clean it nicely with a tissue, and it's all good, and you can drink wine from it also. You can use it for other things as well. So, pamoit shedliko boy b'Shabbos, okay. Ledivre hamatir osur, ledivre oiser mutar. Very interesting idea. According to the one who's matir, the one who allows, says Rashi, Rabbi Meir allowed a ner yoshon. Yeah, you see a ner yoshon. Let's look at the chart. Yeah, ner shedliku b'bavar. Yeah, Rabbi Meir allows that. Only Rabbi Yehuda answers. Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Shimon allowed it. Right, the second column, the second row. Yeah, the machmas mius. It's been used once. It's already called yoshon. So the one who allows that also, he doesn't allow you to use the pamot that was lit on Shabbos. Why not? Why doesn't he allow it? What's the story with the pamot that was lit on Shabbos and now it's out? The same thing we have all the time. What? Muktzeh machmas isu. Even though it's out, but the status remains from Ben Hashmoshes. So according to him, to the one who allows muktzeh machmas mius, meaning an old candle that as Shabbos came in was not on, was not burning, nothing, it was empty, but then the one who allows that would not allow you to use a candle that was lit on Shabbos, nice and clean and shiny and clean and good, but it's been used. That he wouldn't allow, meaning like Rabbi Yehuda. Now, ledivra oiser mutar. Wow, that's interesting. According to the one who's oiser muktzeh machmas mius, who was the only one who did not allow muktzeh machmas mius? Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda would be matir. Wow, that's against everything we said. Rabbi Yehuda would actually tell you that a new candle, nice and new, that are used now, made out of metal, right, lit and then out, you'll have to use it after it's out. Frag the Gemara, are you for real? Are you telling me Rabbi Yehuda believes in muktzeh machmas mius, meaning an old candle used once it's a problem because it's disgusting, but the one machmas isu leislei, he doesn't think the muktzeh, which is also meaning, that's the name, muktzeh machmas isu, meaning I set it aside for something forbidden, lighting, big mitzvah Shabbos candles, but also means it says an osur function. I can't use it, I can't take anything from it. Yeah, and therefore the whole Shabbos it's considered this for Isser. Leislei. Rabbi Yehuda does not believe in muktzeh machmas misel va'atanya. Rabbi Yehuda omer kol neros shel moteches mitaltelin. He allowed to carry all neros of metal, meaning new ones. He means new ones because moteches actually new or old it does make a difference because it's always clean. Chutz min haner shedliku b'Shabbos. This zoi. Yeah, there's a gears to Shabbos zoi. Except for a candle lit on this Shabbos, you're not allowed to. Because once it's lit, and he views muktzeh machmas isur as setting aside, and Rabbi Yehuda believes very much in Migu Diskatzor Ben Hashmoshes, you take the photo of Leil Shabbos, of Ben Hashmoshes, and that determines its status. How can you say otherwise? Must be wrong. Ela itmar, hachi itmar. If you want to teach me that teaching, hachi itmar. This is the way you should teach it. What Rabbi Zera meant was, quiz for you people. Now I'm going to give you a little test. A pamoit that idliku olav b'Shabbos, right? As Shabbos came in, the Queen Sabbath spread its wing over the world. Your wife is lighting the Shabbos candle with the pamoit with the metal. Yeah. After 2 or 3 hours, it's out. Everyone says even after it's out, it's still also. Who's everyone? Who's everyone that thinks that even after it's out, it remains also? Who's this everyone? Rabbi Shimon thinks it's also? Thinks it's also? No. Absolutely not Rabbi Shimon. The Chiddush is Rabbi Yehuda and Rameir. The Chiddush was not like we said before, mistakenly, Before it was said mistakenly the Rabbi Yehuda allows it. It says Mapitom, no way. It says everyone, meaning Rabbi Yehuda as well as Rabbi Meir, they both say that it's osur, right? Even after it's out. But Rabbi Shimon says it's okay before Shem, no question. Ava lo idliku ola divakol mutar. Everyone agrees, all three people agree, even Rabbi Yehuda, that the nail of metal which was never used, all nice and clean and good and amazing and nice, you don't have to light with it. Why are you so nervous? You can use it to put in your, I don't know what, your pieces of heading, whatever you want with it, yeah? Therefore, that's mutar, that's allowed, it's not muktzeh. Or even if it's set for hadlaka, it's only klisha malachta lisu, you can still move it l'tzof gufa and mekorma. Not use, because it's metal. Yes, Lo yidliku olav, thank you for indirectly correcting me, because yes, because we say Lo yidliku olav, I would say even if yidliku in the past, but Lo yidliku this Shabbos, very good. Even if it was mudlak last Shabbos, and it has some remnants of oil, it's not so disgusting, you can wipe it. Very good. Nice. I hear what you say. Very good. Shkoyech. No, Baruch Hashem, it's considered one of the hardest Amudim, and we plowed through. We have a chart. Good. Yeah. Safe trip to our friend. Oh, you should stay with us in Zoom. Yeah. East Coast.
West.
So morning.
It's like 11:20 in the morning.
Okay. Atzlocha, have a safe trip. Should be mafse everyone from America to come here.
All right.